Welcome back to Tony's Backyard Garage. We're continuing with the 51 GMC truck project. If you tuned into the earlier videos, you saw us mount a 51 GMC truck cabin bed to a 1998 S10 frame. And in an earlier video, we extended that S10 frame. In this video, we're going to deal with the running boards. As you can see, this is missing a running board. And if we go to the original frame, here's the original 51 GMC frame. We haven't gotten rid of it yet. We see that it's got these, I don't know what they're called, struts or something, sticking out, and the running board mounts to those. We're going to do something similar, but we're going to use a 1 by 1.5 inch square tube. But we can't mount it exactly the same way as it is on the original frame. For example, this back one is, the location on the S10 frame is right by the leaf spring perch. There's no good place to weld there. The middle one is okay, but the front one on the S10 frame is right where the front subframe meets the frame rails, and there are factory welds right there, and it's a curved section, so it doesn't lend itself to mounting that the same way this one is. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this square tube, but we're going to mount it on an angle so that we can put it on the straight part of a frame and still have it come out at the same location. We also won't need all these bends that are in this one because the S10 frame is much lower than the original frame. So let's look at the running board. So this running board will eventually get replaced, but for now, for the purpose of just getting the truck on the road, we're going to use this old running board. But what we see is that it probably looks different from your running boards. This one's been fixed a couple of times. It's no longer ribbed. The stock running boards are ribbed, but this one had some sheet metal replaced. So it's flat here. And if we look at the underside, we see again that it's got a sheet metal patch, and it's also got reinforcement with fence posts and other things. Here's the one original mounting piece. This other one is another fence post. This one's a fence post. We won't be using those. So I cut out one section, and again, our square tube will fit something like that, but I can't weld the square tube directly to the running board like this because this is 18 gauge steel on the running board, and the square tube is like 11 gauge, so we'll have to turn the heat up pretty high, or the voltage up on the welder, and it would just melt right through the 18 gauge steel. So the solution for that is I've made this plate out of 15 gauge steel, and we'll just weld the 15 gauge to the 20 gauge at a lower heat setting. That will be no problem. And then where it's double thick with the 18 gauge and the 15 gauge, we'll be able to turn the welder way up so that we can weld in the 11 gauge square tube without burning through. So I'm going to turn the video off now and weld up the square tube in these three locations. Again, we'll put a plate here, and we'll also put a plate here. So when we turn the video back on, we should have the square tube welded up to the running board, and at that point we'll figure out how to mount it to the frame. Okay, we're about ready to weld. We got everything clamped in place. We've got our extra plates in here so that when we weld the square tube, we won't melt through. So we're going to turn off the tape and when we're done we should be all welded and ready to put under the truck. So this is actually backwards from what the factory did. The factory had these bolted in and then welded to the frame, or riveted to the frame. We're going to weld the square tube to the running boards and then bolt to the frame. Okay, we've got our struts welded in. Welds are not exactly beautiful, but a little grinding and paint and they'll be alright, and they'll certainly hold. As you can see, we've got the extra plates in so that it didn't melt through. And on the other side, we'll have to do a little bit of sanding and painting where there was some body filler in those that will have to be sanded down. But so far pretty good. Next step is to put it on the truck. Okay, we've got the running board mocked up. If you can look under here, we'll see that right now this is clamped into place, and we marked where we're going to weld the main support to the frame. And next step is we'll drill some holes into these guys so that we can get rid of those 3 clamps. And then once the running board's out of the way, we'll be able to weld this in. And we'll also put some extra supports on it so it doesn't bend, although it probably shouldn't anyway, but just to be sure. All right, so let's stop the tape and drill some holes. Okay, so we've got the cradle built. So this part will get welded to the frame, and then the running board just gets bolted to this. It's again a regular just cut piece of 4x6 square tube, but we put these extra straps in to make sure that it doesn't bend once it's up there, and it'll hold the running board solidly. We also put some ends on it again to keep it from bending. The straps are 1/8 inch by 2 inch, and it's the same theory that we have on an engine hoist. So if we look at an engine hoist, they put a strap on up top here like this so that the square tube doesn't bend if you put a 1,000-pound engine on it. So it's the same idea. So the next step is we'll unbolt the running board and then weld this part to the frame, and then we can bolt the running board back on for one final time. Okay, so we'll stop the tape and we'll see you in the next step. Okay, we got our cradle welded in. Not the prettiest welds in the world, but it'll certainly hold. And next time we have the cab off, we can clean those up. But now, all we have to do is bolt the running board in one more time, and we're done with this side. Then we have to repeat the whole thing for the next side. So we'll stop the tape. We'll do the final assembly of the running board, get it back on the ground, and wrap up. Okay, so that's it. We're all done the right side. All we have to do is the same thing all over again for the left-hand side.